Hello and welcome to the Freedom Stein Laboratory. Today is the 26th day of January 2026. Down here in Florida, we had record heat over the weekend, while the rest of the country, yikes, got a little cold everywhere, didn't it? And a little bit of snow. I saw they almost got a foot in New York City. Holy cow. I used to live in Colorado for, well, about 30 years. So I know about the snow and cold, and well, that's why I'm here in Florida, so I don't have to deal with it so much. Although we're supposed to get down to like 28 degrees this next weekend. So we're going to get a little cold here too. I know for those of you who've been below zero, you're probably like, shut up. So hopefully you guys are okay. Now, Minnesota is always a cold place, but right now it's pretty hot. I mean, it is getting really heated in Minnesota. And if you've been listening to any of my episodes, I have been encouraging the Trump administration to turn down the temperature here and just pull out of Minnesota. There are plenty of illegals to get all over the country. Let's go somewhere else. You know, if you want to do something about Minnesota and all the fraud, let's do some law stuff. You know, arrest some people. Hey, arrest the governor, Tim Walz. I mean, he belongs in jail for sure. That's why he's not going to run again. So let's go after him. Let's go after some of this other people that have been committing fraud and such. But for the ICE operations, let's just pull out. And they are heeding a little bit of that advice now, but they kind of have to, don't they? Looks like the Border Patrol chief, Gregory Bovino, he was there in Minnesota in the Twin Cities. And basically, after what we had happen over the weekend, which we're going to discuss in just a minute, I don't know if the Trump administration has told him, get out of there, if he's making this decision, but apparently he and some patrol agents are expected to leave Minnesota. And the way that the local Fox station is putting it is imminently. So he should be like out of there very shortly. And it's saying here it's not clear how many agents are leaving and if any ICE agents are included. Operation Metro Surge currently has more than 3,000 federal agents in Minnesota for immigration enforcement. I don't know how much training these ICE agents are getting, but I think they need more. Look, I'm like a lot of you, and I'm just a middle of the road, common sense kind of person. And I keep saying that I feel like I'm in the center, I'm in the middle of everything. A lot of people are hesitant to come out on either side of this Alex Pretti shooting and killing. And then you have other people, that would be me, hesitant to say anything. And then you have other people who are on the left and people who are on the right. And I would call them the extremes of the left and the right. The extreme left, this was murder. This is a tyrannical government. We need to take up arms and fight back against it. And then you have the people on the right who are like, you know, you should not be resisting any kind of arrest. There no kind of protesting really should be going on. And we just need to slam down the hammer on these people, keep pushing like you're doing and keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, just ignore the protesters. And then there's those of us who watched what happened with Alex Pretti. And for all intents and purposes, basically, Alex is one of those guys who is a liberal protester. So he's been out there for all of the major protests, whether it was after George Floyd or now with the ICE operations in Minnesota. He appears to be a good person. He works as an ICU nurse, I believe is what I'd seen. So, you know, you got to be a good person to be doing something like that to begin with. And not only is he an ICU nurse, but I believe, I think it's for the Veterans Administration. So, you know, that's got to be really tough too. Apparently, what happened is he saw a woman who was getting roughed up a little bit by ICE agents as they were busy doing one of their arrest things. And she'd I think, been thrown down to the ground. So he goes to protect her. He gets her up off the ground. He puts his arm around her. They end up getting pepper sprayed by the ICE agents, and they're separated from each other. Alex Pretti's thrown down on the ground, and he is shot repeatedly in the back. Now, as for resisting arrest, he definitely didn't put his hands up and, get real peaceful and say, hey, go ahead, take me into custody. I will give you that. Was he resisting in a very harsh way? Not really. He wasn't like fighting. He wasn't swinging or punching. Was he cussing or whatever? I don't know. But he was on all fours from what I could see from the videos that I've seen from the various angles. If you're on all fours, I don't really see you. There's only so much you can do to resist. And it wasn't like he jumped up and was ready to do something. We were told by Kristi Noem and other officials that he was armed and he had come at the agents with this gun, and so they were protecting themselves. And so immediately we're all like, well, okay, if that's what happened, this is what you get. But then when I started watching these videos from different angles, I will say, I am a strong Second Amendment supporter. And I am all for, I think you should be able to open carry, not just conceal carry. I think you should be able to open carry, and it would make us a lot safer if people saw a bunch of guns everywhere. Alex Pretti, he was able to have a concealed weapon. He was able to carry. He was licensed to do that. So he had a right to do it. So he had a right to have a gun with him at these protests. I do wonder why he would have extra clips of ammunition, because that to me tells me you're ready to go and like to war kind of thing. I mean, you're not just carrying that around as protection because you're figuring you're going to unload one clip and you got 2 more clips to go through. So that's questionable. But it looked like to me on all the videos that I've seen that an ICE agent disarmed him. He had it in a side holster. ICE agent pulled it out, so he was no longer armed. And then mysteriously, right after that happens, another ICE agent has pulled his gun out at the same time and unloads it into the back of Alex Pretti. When you shoot somebody in the back and they're not running away from you, that really doesn't look good. I mean, even if they're running away from you, that doesn't look good because it's not like they're charging you or coming at you. But at least if they're like running away from you, it looks like they're really, really resisting arrest. But to me, this was unjustified completely. So it would look like murder or manslaughter, at least something. Maybe not murder, but manslaughter. I don't know if it was a lack of training. There was somebody yelling gun. So I don't know if he thought that there was a gun. We know that there's a lot of pressure on these ICE agents. We've had a lot of violence around all of this. They're getting things thrown at them constantly. So this is a really, really intense situation. And as far as I can tell, this is just escalating and it's only going to get worse. So I feel like it is on the Trump administration to de-escalate, because liberals, they don't calm down. They don't have common sense, and they don't back off. Even if it looks like, yay, it's a win for them, it really isn't. Because what I've been telling you is leave these cities to their garbage. If you want to take in all these criminal invaders, have at it. I mean, if it was me, I would be making them, some kind of infomercial or something and be like, hey, are you coming into America illegally? You know where you can go where you'll be safe? Hey, Minnesota is the place for you. They take all of you. They won't put you in jail. They'll give you money. As a matter of fact, you could become a millionaire running a daycare with no kids there. I mean, you could make all kinds of PSAs and stuff like that. Just have at it. This is the way, if I was president, that I would be handling it. Leave Minnesota to its garbage and send the garbage there. Say, hey, we're just going to unload it there. You guys want it? Your sanctuary city? Have it. Go ahead. And we're not funding you anymore. No more funds. Have the garbage. Problem solved. And you can de-escalate the situation, because this is only going to get worse on both sides. Because now you really have the protesters who are way more angry And you have ICE agents who are seeing we're not getting in trouble for doing some of the things that we're doing. So maybe we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And if they have a lack of training, we're just going to watch more people die. And we really don't want that. And one of the reasons why we really don't want this is what I'm really worried about, what we have ramping up here. Something happened before the American Revolution. And I don't know how many people are aware of this happening. It's not a really well-known piece of American history, but I'm going to share it with you because it's a very important piece of our American history. What I'm going to show you here is a picture. And we'll see if any of you know what this picture is featuring. Let me go over here and share this to you guys. All right. Does anybody recognize this? Paul Revere had put this out in his paper. I'm sure you recognize his name. This is the Boston Massacre. Now, a lot of people know about the Boston Tea Party. This happened way before the Boston Tea Party. This is the Boston Massacre. And what you are seeing here is you have a bunch of British soldiers who were firing into, what does this look like? A crowd of citizens. You don't see any soldiers over here. You don't see any weapons over here. You see multiple people on the ground. So let me give you some of the details about what happened during this. And you're going to understand why I'm bringing this up, because we have a government like the British who are having their soldiers, like ICE agents, that are in a certain area. And we have gotten into not just a kerfuffle, this is amped up into a very dangerous situation. So the Boston Massacre, according to the British, we called it the Boston Massacre for the colonists. The British called it the incident on King Street. So that just shows you how you can change the way a narrative is said. It went from where we're saying people were massacred to they're saying it was an incident. There was a little, blow up, so to say. So this happened on March 5th in 1770. And this was in Boston, obviously, the Boston Massacre. And at the time, this was a colonial era province of Massachusetts Bay. There were 9 British soldiers, and they shot several people in the crowd. Now, the crowd wasn't really that large. It's very similar to what we're seeing in Minnesota. You got about 300 to 400 people were here, and they were harassing the soldiers. They were throwing snowballs at them, occasionally hitting them with a stick, throwing verbal insults at them. So exactly what we see going on with these modern day protests is what was happening here. We don't have a riot. It's a protest, but it's not a necessarily completely peaceful protest. So we have a little bit of violence getting involved here. Sam Adams and Paul Revere were a couple of the people who decided to call this a massacre. And they, of course, as we know, are going to become central proponents for independence during the American Revolutionary War. These British troops have been stationed in the province of Massachusetts Bay, and they'd been there since 1768. And now we're into 1770. So this is 2 years after they'd been stationed here. It was kind of like Britain is ramping up things by putting their military into certain places. And it was just turning into a volatile situation. Tensions are rising between civilians and soldiers. And on this particular day, a mob formed around a British sentry, and they were verbally abusing him. So, however they did it back then to call for help, I don't know if he rang a bell or if sent word out to somebody or if there were other soldiers in the vicinity who noticed what was happening. But he was soon joined by 7 other soldiers, and these were led by Captain Thomas Preston. And we continue to have the verbal insults, snowballs flying, and then somebody got a little itchy trigger finger. The soldier fires his gun. And once you have one gun go off, everybody just starts shooting because it's like, who's firing? Where's it coming from? So you've got one shot fired, and then the others start firing without any order from Captain Preston. The gunfire instantly killed 3 people, wounded 8 others, and 2 of those wounded would die later on from their wounds. Eventually, the crowd dispersed. The acting governor, Thomas Hutchinson, promised that he would, do an inquiry into this and find out what happened. And the crowd was like, okay, as long as you're going to investigate, we'll go home. But they reformed the next day, and things got so ramped up, the British got smart, unlike the Trump administration, and they withdrew their troops because they're like, you know what, we don't want to keep building this up. 8 soldiers, 1 officer, and 4 civilians were arrested and charged with murder. They were defended in court by, you won't believe it, our one day going to be President John Adams. 6 of those soldiers, so he managed to get 6 of the soldiers acquitted. There were 2 others that were convicted of manslaughter, and they were sentenced to be branded on their thumbs. So the reason, of course, why I bring this up is this is the situation that we find ourselves in right now. I mean, I don't think there's any better illustration than the Boston Massacre, where you have a government that is coming down on people who feel like this is tyranny. And believe me, on the right side of things, I have been out like with the Tea Party movement and such, where I felt like I was pushing up against tyranny. So I know exactly where these people on the left are coming from. Now, the difference that we do have here is a lot of these people are paid protesters. I don't believe that Alex Pretti was one of those. I think we do have paid agitators and community organizers that are coming in, and they get the citizens there riled up. So I think that's what we see going on here. So you have some that are paid to do this, and then the rest are just, regular people like you and me that are going out and protesting. But it is just when you have the heat like this turning up, and I mean, you could just see it on social media. I see tons of my friends on Facebook who I don't agree with politically going, if you support this administration in any way, you better unfriend me now. Okay. Well, I don't always agree with everything that this administration is doing. So should I unfriend you? Because I did vote for Trump and I do support a lot of the things that he does. And I am totally on board with getting all of the illegals out of this country because they are all criminal. You have come to this country illegally. That is a crime. So all of them are criminals. I understand if we're going to do this, like, let's take care of this group first and then we'll work our way down. I'm fine with the people who all they did was cross the border. We can wait to go after them. Let's go after the major criminals, which is what I'm under. The understanding that I have is that's what we are doing, is going after the major criminals right now. So I'm okay with that. So I support ICE and I support what they're doing and I want them to do it. But when stuff gets like this, you have to turn down the temperature. Because as much as I've been like worrying about World War III over here, can you imagine World War I and World War II and the American Civil War at the same time? Yeah, let's not do these together. Let's not have World War III and an American Civil War, because we all know if we end up with some kind of a civil war here in America, I don't know where that breaks down. It's not going to be the North versus the South. It's not even going to be necessarily blue states versus red states, because all the states are full of red and blue people and lots of purple people like me. I'm just a purple people eater. We're monsters around here. So I'm a purple people eater. So, I mean, what side do you get on? I just, look, all I know is the president told us he was a president of peace. And you're trying to get peace going on around the world. Let's have peace at home. It is time to get out of Minnesota, and it is time to bring peace here to America.